This air bladder is one of the peculiar characteristics of osteichthyes because in chondrichthyes you do not find air bladders. There is an exception in the case of reptiles. Only crocodiles have a 4-chambered heart. Rest all the reptiles as well as the amphibians, they have a 3-chambered heart having 2 auricles and 1 ventricle. Apart from porifera, all the other organisms exhibit symmetry, be it radial or bilateral. It is only porifera that doesn't exhibit any symmetry. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to this session on revision class for first PUC Biology. I am Dr. Divya, Biology faculty, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. So in this session, we are dealing with the same chapter, that is Animal Kingdom, wherein the session 1 was already done. So this is session 2, wherein we will deal with again some of the second part of MCQs along with the 5 marks question and answer. So in the previous session of this chapter, wherein for the revision class, we had dealt with 3-mark question because according to the blueprint given by the PU board, from this particular chapter, 1 3-mark question and 1 5-mark question will also come along with the MCQs. So therefore, this session we will learn the 5 marks question. To begin with, the first question under MCQs, that is, which organisms have jointed appendages? So is it annelids, arthropods, mollusks and cnidaria? So arthropods, the word arthro, so it's easy to remember this, wherein pods or poda, it means feet or leg-like structures. So insects have legs to crawl, right? So that is why you can easily guess it as arthropods. Arthro means joints, like how we say arthro, right? Even in our human body also, arthro means joints itself. It is one more term for joints. So therefore, arthropods. So option B is the right answer here. So moving further, what type of shell do mollusks have? Siliceous, chitinous, calcareous, none of the above. So chitinous skeleton is present in arthropods. So arthropods has an exoskeleton which is made up of chitin. So remember that. Siliceous usually it is present in diatoms. So diatoms we had studied under chrysophytes, right? So chrysophytes, so we had studied there. So under diatoms, calcareous. So these, that is mollusks, they have a calcareous shell, be it the oyster, the snail which carries a shell on its body, or be it the octopus. Octopus also, their mantle is nothing but it is made up of, or the octopus head, it is made up of calcium. So it is calcareous. So next question. What is present in the mouth of mollusks? Is it beak, teeth, radula? None of the above. So beak, usually the class aves will have beak in them. Teeth, usually mammalians will have teeth in them. Radula is nothing but a clasping organ. So especially in octopus or be it any of the mollusks, they will not have arms and legs and all that to stuff in food, especially the oysters and all that. So what they have is, they have some clasping organ which is called as radula that helps them to catch the prey. So it is radula. Next, what is present in the mantle cavity of mollusks? So mantle cavity usually in oysters and in octopuses we get to find them. So what is their? Muscles, gills, blood vessels, nerves. So usually in the mantle cavity, gills will be present which helps them to respire in water because these organisms are marine as well as few of them can be in fresh water. So gills is needed for respiration, which is present where? In the mantle cavity. So option B is the right answer here. Moving further, what is the name of the animals with an endoskeleton of calcareous ossicles? So they have calcareous ossicles in them. So next question, what is the name of the animals with an endoskeleton of calcareous ossicles? Is it chordata? No, the chordata's skeleton is covered by skin and the skeleton is bony as well as it can be cartilaginous. So it's not chordata. Arthropoda, no, arthropoda's body is covered by an exoskeleton which is made up of chitin. Is it cnidaria? Cnidarians actually they don't have any calcareous depositions as such. And is it echinodermata? Yes, echinodermata. Echinodermata means, echino means spiny, derma means skin. So their body is spiny and that spine is nothing but made up of calcium and the spines are nothing but called as ossicles. So it is echinodermata which is made up of calcareous ossicles. Next question. What is the meaning of the name echinodermata? Bony bodied, spiny bodied, soft bodied, transparent bodied. So transparent bodied, usually the word hyaline is used for transparency. It's hyaline. So bony bodied, no, they don't have bones or skeleton. They have spiny bodied. So it is echinodermata, means echino means spiny, derma means covering or skin. So therefore it is spiny bodied. Next question. What is the most distinctive feature of echinoderms? Is it excretory system, digestive system, water-vascular system or respiratory system? So distinctive feature, of course they have their respiratory system, they have their excretory system, digestive system and all that can be present, but the most distinctive feature which is not present in any of the other organism is the water vascular system. So they have canals, say for example the starfish, if I take that as an example, each of the arms, 6 arms that they have there, they have a canal-like system to take in water and give out water. So that is a peculiar characteristic of echinoderms. So it is water vascular system, option C. Next, what is the structure in the collar region of hemichordates called? So where in the collar region? Is it called notochord, stomach, proboscis, or is it called gills? So they don't have a notochord. Instead what they have a stomochord. So they have a stomochord. So notochords are usually absent in hemichordates. They have stomach, is it proboscis or it gills? So it is usually stomochord. So here stomochord option is not being given. So you can choose notochord, but usually stomochord options will be given. Why? Because stomochord is nothing but something which looks like a notochord. So you can choose notochord here. So the answer is notochord. But instead usually in the exams they can give the option as stomochord. So the answer exactly here is the stomochord is the structure that is present in the collar region of hemichordata. Next question. What is the excretory organ in hemichordates? Is it kidney, liver, proboscis gland, stomach? So it is proboscis gland, because kidney is the excretory organ in mammals. Liver, they don't participate in the process of excretion, but instead they participate in the process of bile production. That you don't find liver and all that in hemichordates. That is one important point. Stomach, no. Instead, they have a proboscis gland, which is small grape-like structures that is situated in the trunk part, wherein it helps in the process of excretion. So it is proboscis gland. Now don't get confused in the instead they can give an option as proboscis. Now don't get confused. Proboscis is different and proboscis gland is different. Okay, proboscis is present at the head part and it helps the hemichordate. For example, melanoglossus is a hemichordate which to bury deep in the sand. For that it helps. So proboscis gland is different. Proboscis gland is present in the trunk region, which actually helps in the elimination of the waste product. So there is a difference between proboscis and proboscis gland in the case of hemichordata. So don't get confused. So for this question, proboscis gland is the right answer. Next one. What class do all living ectoparasites on some fishes belong to? So under vertebrata, we have different classes. That is, we have cyclostomata, we have chondrichthyes, osteichthyes, then we have the amphibians, then the reptiles, the aves and the mammals. So 7 classes are there. Among those 7 classes, which is a class wherein all the ectoparasites are put under that class and they are capable of living on the bodies of other fishes, sucking on those fishes and finally making the fishes to or killing those particular fishes or the host. So it is cyclostomata, because osteichthyes and chondrichthyes, they do not have to feed on or do not have to live as parasites on other organisms because they have teeth. So because they have teeth, they are capable of chewing and catching their prey and chewing. But these organisms that are there, that is cyclostomata, they are jawless organisms. They come under agnatha. Agnatha means they do not have jaws. So instead they have suckers wherein they go and stick on to the body of the fishes and derive nutrition from those fish body. So, and that is why it's called as an ectoparasite. Ecto means living outside something. So it is an ectoparasite. It is cyclostomata. So next question. How many pairs of gill slits do cyclostomes have for respiration? It is 6 to 15. So they have 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits for respiration. They have gills because they usually are aquatic in habitat. So next question, what is the nature of the cranium and vertebral column of cyclostomes? Is it bony, cartilaginous, muscular, none of the above? So the right answer here is cartilaginous. Cartilaginous are nothing but soft bones, and the cranium, that is the head, covering of the head, as well as the covering of the vertebral column or the notochord in the case of cyclostomes are cartilaginous. Next question. What happens to cyclostomes after spawning? So spawning means after laying eggs, what happens to them? So these cyclostomes, they have a peculiar feature wherein, that is, from the marine water they move to the fresh water to lay eggs. Once they lay the eggs and the eggs hatch, these cyclostomes usually tend to die. So that is, they die. So once spawning occurs, or once the laying of the eggs and the hatching happens, the cyclostomes will not return. Instead, they'll die there, and only the young cyclostomes will come back to the marine habitat. So that is what happens. That is option C. When cyclostomes after spawning, they die. So next question, where is the mouth of chondrichthyes located? Is it dorsally, ventrally, anteriorly or posteriorly? So the mouth of chondrichthyes are located ventrally. Next question, what are the scales present on the skin of chondrichthyes called? Is it placoid scales? Is it dermal scales? Is it bony scales? Or is it scutes? So it is placoid scales. They are called as placoid scales. But it is called ctenoid scales, that is ctenoid in the case of osteichthyes. So ctenoid scales in the case of osteichthyes, placoid scales in the case of osteichthyes, placoid scales in the case of chondrichthyes. So chondrichthyes have what type of scales? Placoid scales. Next, how many chambers does the heart of chondrichthyes have? One auricle, one ventricle, two auricles and one ventricle, one auricle and two ventricles, two auricles and two ventricles. It is one auricle and one ventricle. So they have one auricle and one ventricle, meaning they have a two-chambered heart. Only two chambers are present. How many? One, or with one auricle and one ventricle. So like this also question can be asked. The heart of chondrichthyes have dash chambers. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? So therefore it is two chambered, wherein one auricle and one ventricle is present. So next question, what covers the gills of osteichthyes? Is it lungs, operculum, scales or skin? Scales cover, especially the that is the ctenoid scales, they cover the skin of osteichthyes, and operculum covers the gills. So the gills are covered. They have small flap-like structures which are called as operculum, or shields. It is called as operculum. Next, what covers the skin of osteichthyes? Is it feathers, hair, cycloid or ctenoid scales? Is it fur? It is ctenoid scales. Ctenoid scales are also called as cycloid scales. So once more, chondrichthyes have what type of scales? They have placoid scales. Osteichthyes have cycloid scales, which is also called as what? Ctenoid scales. Next, moving further, what is present in osteichthyes which regulates buoyancy? Buoyancy is nothing but the ability of an organism to float in water. So, is it lungs, gills, brain or air bladder? It is air bladder. So, this air bladder is one of the peculiar characteristics of osteichthyes, because in chondrichthyes you do not find air bladders. Say for example, chondrichthyes are sharks, that is the hammerhead sharks, then the sawfish, rayfish, all that come under the chondrichthyes. So these chondrichthyes usually they need to keep swimming continuously. Have you ever seen a shark rest? They rest at the bottom of the ocean, that is on the bed. But when they are in water completely, they need to keep on swimming because if they stop swimming, they can drown because they do not have air bladders in them. This is one of the most important characteristics. Whereas osteichthyes, they have air bladder. That is why fishes, even if, or the hippocampus, that is a seahorse, even if they don't swim also, they can float in water because of the presence of this air bladder. So next, moving further, what is the name of the chamber into which the alimentary canal, urinary and reproductive tract opens? So this is something related to the class Amphibia under phylum Vertebrata, that Vertebrata, class Amphibia. So amphibians have a peculiar characteristic wherein all the parts of the amphibians, be it the respiratory, the digestive, the excretory, the reproductive, all of that ends in one particular chamber, and that chamber is called as cloaca. It's called cloaca. Tympanum is nothing but an external ear that is present which helps them in hearing. So it's tympanum. Auricle and ventriculus, they are the chambers of the heart. So here the right option here is cloaca. Next, moving further, how many chambers does the heart of an amphibian have? So one auricle and one ventricle, two auricles and one ventricle, one auricle and two ventricles, two auricles and two ventricles. It is two auricles and one ventricle. Therefore, they have a three-chambered heart. So cyclostomes or the chondrichthyes and osteichthyes, they have a two-chambered heart wherein one auricle, one ventricle. Amphibians, they have, for example, frog, they have a three-chambered heart wherein it is made up of two auricles and one ventricle. And even reptiles also have three-chambered heart, that is two auricles and one ventricle. But only crocodiles have a four-chambered heart. There is an exception in the case of reptiles. Only crocodiles have a four-chambered heart. Rest all the reptiles as well as the amphibians, they have a three-chambered heart having two auricles and one ventricle. Next, all the birds, aves and the mammals have a four-chambered heart, that is two auricles and two ventricles. Remember that. Next question. What does the word tympanum mean? Nose, mouth, ear, eye. It means ear. So in reptiles as well as in amphibians, they do not have an external ear pinna like that, but they just have a opening which helps them to hear, and that opening without an external pinna is called as the tympanum. So it is nothing but the ear itself. Next question. What covers the body of reptiles? Is it epidermal hair, epidermal feathers, epidermal scales or scutes, epidermal fur? So epidermal fur and hair are found in mammals. Epidermal feathers are found in aves. It is epidermal scales or scutes. So it is also called as scutes. So option C is the right answer here. Next, how many chambers does the heart of reptiles usually have? It is three-chambered heart wherein two auricles and one ventricle. But crocodiles have a four-chambered heart. Remember, crocodile is the only reptile that has a four-chambered heart. Next, what is the purpose of the oil gland in birds? So, birds usually have oil glands at the base of their tail. Okay, so that whenever it is raining, they have to make their feathers water repellent or waterproof. So for that, what they do is they sit on a branch, they start pecking below their tail, and when the oil gets secreted from the oil gland, they take it with their beak and rub it all over their body so that the feathers don't get wet in the rain and they can fly. Because if the feathers get wet, what happens? The body of the bird will become heavy and they cannot fly. So that is the reason. So therefore, the purpose of the oil gland in birds is to keep their feathers dry, to help them fly, of course, but it is an indirect answer. So it is better to choose the option keep their feathers dry. That is the correct one actually. So next question, what is the endoskeleton of birds made of? Cartilage, bone, muscle, tendon. It is made up of bony. It is bony. Endoskeleton of bird is bony, but they have hollow bones. That is, they have hollow bones, meaning it is filled with air cavities, and therefore their bones are called as pneumatic. It's called pneumatic. P-N-E-U-M-A-T-I-C. It is called pneumatic. So it is also, if pneumatic is the option given, you can search pneumatic. Answer pneumatic there. Next question. What is the purpose of the crop and gizzard in the digestive tract of birds? So birds have a well-developed digestive system. They have a stomach. Apart from that, they have a crop and a gizzard. We human beings, we don't have a crop and a gizzard because it is not needed for us. Why it is not needed for us? Because whenever we eat a food or something, we wash it and eat it properly. So therefore, it doesn't have any stone or any of the dust particles on it. So it's easy for us to digest the food. But the birds, it is not like that. Whatever the worms they are eating, they usually keep pecking on the soil and searching for worms. During that time, do they wash that and eat? No. So what happens here is stone particles and all that can enter into their stomach, so which cannot be digested by the stomach. So they have some extra structures called as crop and gizzard, which helps in digesting those small stones and all that. So for that it is important. So for what is the purpose of the crop and gizzard in the digestive tract of birds? It is to break down food. So that is one of the best option you can choose here, to break down food. So next question, which is the only oviparous mammal? Oviparous, this is one of the very important question. Even crop and gizzard is found in which class? Like that also question can be asked. It is class Aves. That is also very important. Ornithorhynchus, it is nothing but platypus. The common name for this is platypus. So platypus, it is an egg-laying mammal. Once the egg hatches, the young ones come out and they feed on the mother's milk, because the mother platypus will have mammary glands. So that is why, though they are egg-laying, they are put under mammals because they have the mammary gland. It is Ornithorhynchus. It is not Petropus, it is not dolphin, nor it is the pigeon. It is the Ornithorhynchus, which is nothing but commonly called as platypus. So this was about the MCQ. So now we'll move on to learning the important 5-mark question that are likely to appear from this particular chapter. Mention the general characteristics of phylum Porifera. So general characteristics of phylum Porifera are, they are mostly marine and they are symmetrical in nature. The body has a, that is, they are asymmetrical in nature. So asymmetrical means the body doesn't have a symmetry. You cannot divide the organism into two equal halves, which is one of the important characteristic of Porifera, because apart from Porifera, all the other organisms exhibit symmetry, be it radial or bilateral. It is only Porifera that doesn't exhibit any symmetry. Next, they are multicellular in nature. They do not have a tissue level or organ level of organization. They have a cellular level of organization. And this is also very important. They have a proper canal system for water transport, wherein in the canal system there is a cavity which is called as spongocoel, and entire body of the sponge has minute pores which is called as ostia, and it is through these ostia that the water enters, reaches the canal system or the spongocoel, and then leaves the body through osculum. Through osculum, it moves out of the body. And apart from that, the water canal or the spongocoel, inside the spongocoel there are few cells which are there, which are called as collar cells, or they are also called as choanocytes. And the body is also supported by a skeleton which is made up of spicules, and usually they are hermaphrodites in nature, and fertilization is internal, development is usually indirect, wherein they have an intermediate stage which is called as the larval stage. So this is how, if you write the points, it is enough for 5 marks. Next question. Write any 5 unique features of phylum Coelenterata. Here they have mentioned unique features. Now here if you write some of the common features, you will not get marks. You have to select and write the peculiar features. So Coelenterate means which one? Cnidarians. So Coelenterata is also called as Cnidaria. So the question can be asked, write any 5 unique features of Cnidaria as well. So coelenterates, they are diploblastic, they are radially symmetrical, and they exhibit tissue, grade of organization or level of organization. And cnidoblasts are for offensive and defensive structures. So they have some defensive structures as well. So these defensive structures that are there, they especially cnidoblasts, say for example the jellyfish and all that, they have some stinging capsules or they have some structures in them which actually helps them to stay away from the predator, so or protects them from the predator. So they are called as the cnidoblasts. So writing about cnidoblast is very important. And they exhibit polymorphism. Exhibiting polymorphism, writing this is also very important, because in no other organism you find this. That is, they exist in 2 stages. One is called as the polyp and the medusa form. So polyp form, you can write about this also. You can write, after writing about polyp and medusa, you can write polyp wherein they are cylindrical, and they are sessile. Example under this is Cylindrical and sessile, it is Obelia also you can write. So, or Hydra. Hydral also you can write. Next, under Medusa form, cylindrical sessile, this is umbrella shaped and it is free swimming. It is free swimming. That is, it is motile. It can move from one place to another. So, therefore, they exhibit sexual dimorphism. So, sometimes they can stay as a polyp form and sometimes they can stay as a medusa form. So, medusa form, jellyfish is an example or Aurelia is an example. So, like this also you can write. After writing this point, they exhibit polymorphism. So, writing this is also very important. Digestive system is incomplete with the gastrovascular cavity because both the intake of food and the excretion of the food, that is the waste, is from the same place itself. So, that is why digestive system is incomplete. So, this is about some of the important characteristics, that is nidoblast should be mentioned and polymorphism, polyp and medulla should be mentioned, and writing about them is also important here. Next question, bring out the general characteristics of phylum Platyhelminth. So, Platyhelminth means they are flatworms. So, this point is very important. They are dorso-ventrally flattened, meaning their upper and lower bodies are completely flat. And they are triploblastic, bilaterally symmetrical, and they are acoelomate. Next, they exhibit organ level of organization. If you don't write all those also, some of the peculiar characteristics mentioning that is very important. They are parasitic forms wherein they are endoparasites having hooks and suckers, and the hooks and suckers are very important for them to cling on to the intestine so that it doesn't get washed away along with the moving food. So, for that particular reason they have hooks and suckers. And the digestive system is incomplete without an anus, and the skeletal, circulatory and respiratory systems are completely absent, and their excretory system, it usually consists of flame cells. So, excretory is through what? Flame cells. So, excretory system is through flame cells. Next, sexes are not separate. There is no distinguishing between male and the female, and internal fertilization occurs and indirect development occurs. Life cycle is complicated with many larval stage, and they have high capacity of regeneration, especially the planaria. It shows a high capacity of regeneration. Example, planaria. So much point if you write it is enough. So, you have to mention about the flame cells. You have to mention about their regeneration capacity. You have to mention about their dorsoventrally flattened body. You have to mention about their parasitic, that is they are ectoparasites with hooks and suckers. Mentioning all that is very, very important because these are some of the peculiar characteristics which should be there along with the other points. So, next question, enumerate unique features of sponges. So, body of sponge is perforated with dermal ostia. So, it is perforated. Perforation means with sponges are perforated, right? They're capable of sucking in water. Same way, the entire body of the poriferans or sponges, they're perforated, having minute pores, which is called as ostia. It's called dermal ostia, meaning it's present on the body of the sponge. And they have cellular level of body organization. Body has space or cavity which is called as spongocele. Spongocele opens out by osculum, which is nothing but acts like a mouth, or for the water to go out of the body, osculum is present. And the body wall has a canal system, and the entire body of the sponge is covered by a skeletal structure which is called spicules, and the canal system is lined by collar cells or cornocytes, and reproduction can be both asexual and sexual methods. These points you can write for this. Next, list out the general characteristics of phylum Annelida. From this lesson, usually the characteristics of all the different phylums and classes will be asked. So, if you are thorough with all of those, then it is easy for you to answer. Some of them I have put here. Likewise, all are very important there. So, that from that chapter, the entire chapter, everything is very important because every now and then one or the other question keeps coming out. That is, all the phylum and all the classes are asked from that particular chapter. Next, the general characteristics of phylum Annelida. They are bilaterally symmetrical, they are triploblastic, eucoelomate and or acoelomate also you can call them instead of eucoelomate, that is also correct. Body is metamerically segmented. So, annelids, the body is metamerically segmented. This point is very important under this, which needs to be written. And parapodia is there. This is also important, especially in which organism? In aquatic nereis. Parapodia will be present, which helps them for locomotion, and they have close circulation with blood vessels. Excretory system consists of nephridia. Writing about this is very important. And nervous system consists of ganglion, double nerve cord and lateral nerves. That is important, and they can be monoecious as well as dioecious. Writing about this is also important. Some of the annelids can be monoecious, that is wherein both the male and the female sexes can be present in the same organism, or they can be dioecious wherein the male is separate and the female is separate. And reproduction is sexual, development is indirect. So these many points you have to write. Next question, write the general characters of phylum Mollusca. So it is triploblastic, bilaterally symmetrical, coelomates. The body is distinguished into head, foot and visceral hump. Writing about this is very, very important. Body is covered by hard calcareous shell. This is important. And they have lateral folds which is called as mantle. And in that mantle they have a cavity which is called as mantle cavity, and in that mantle cavity respiratory structure called as gills are present, and some excretory structures are also there, and mouth has a rasping organ, and that rasping organ is called as radula. Writing about this is also very, very important. Wherever I have put boxes, no, those things has to come in the answer. It is quite important. And sensory tentacles. Writing about tentacles, especially octopuses, they have the sensory tentacles. They are dioecious and oviparous. This is also very important. Indirect development, wherein they have an intermediate larval stage. So this is also very important. Next question, what are the salient features of echinodermata? Echinodermata, they are exclusively marine organism. They have organ system level of organization, and they have spiny body. This is very important. And they have calcareous ossicles. The spiny body is called as calcareous. It's nothing but calcareous ossicles. Writing those two is very important. Adults are radially symmetrical because the young ones are not radially symmetrical, whereas the adults are radially symmetrical, while the larvae is bilaterally symmetrical, which is one of the peculiar features. You have to write that. Digestive system is complete. Water-vascular system. Writing this is important because no other organism has a water-vascular system like this. And water-vascular system helps in the movement of food, for locomotion, and also helps in exchange of gases and all that. They don't have special excretory structures and all that. It is through the water-vascular system itself. Sexes are separate. Sexual reproduction occurs. Fertilization is external. Development also external. And larval stage is free swimming. Larval stage is also free swimming, because in some of the cases the larvae, they do not swim. They stay in a particular place until they become an adult and then move out. But in this case, larval stage is free swimming. This is also one of the important characteristics. Next, moving further, justify the inclusion. See how they can ask the question. Justify the inclusion of hemichordate under non-chordate. The question means that why have they put hemichordate under non-chordate? So that is why. The name says hemichordate. It's confusion for everyone because the name says hemichordata. But still they have put it under non-chordate. So why is that? You have to justify. Give statements for that. It is because they are small group which are worm-like body, whereas chordates do not have a worm-like body, and chordate characters are not complete, hence the name hemichordata. The main thing is they have almost all the characteristics, especially they were placed under chordate because there was something called as stomochord present in them. So that stomochord, it actually looks like a notochord, and later on scientists got to know that it's not a notochord but it is something that looks like a notochord, and they named it as stomochord and removed hemichordata from chordates and put them under non-chordates. So that is one of the reasons. And they are marine and they have organ system level of organization. They are triploblastic, bilaterally symmetrical, coelomate, having a body cavity, and the body is completely cylindrical, worm-like, and it is made up of proboscis, collar, and it is made up of a trunk. And the sexes are separate with external fertilization. Development is indirect. They have open type of circulation. and the respiration is through gills. Proboscis glands are present which helps them in excretion, and the writing of stomochord. They have a stomochord which looks like a notochord, but it is not a notochord. So this is also very important, which has not been put here, but you have to write this point, which is very, very important. So this way also question can be asked. Don't think that what have they asked you, justify the inclusion of hemichordate under non-chordates. What is this? Don't get confused. Write the characteristics of hemichordates. That is quite enough there. Next, mention the group of animals in which the following organs are found. See, they can ask the question like this. They have given almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 have been given. Sometimes 5 will be given. Sometimes 10 will be given. It depends on the distribution of the marks. So here they have given, all this will be given. Mention the group of animals which of the following organs are found. That is radula, compound eye, water-vascular system, canal system, nematocyst, flame cell, visceral hump, nephridia and parapodia. So you have to write in which phylum they belong to. So radula, you find them in mollusca. Compound eye in arthropoda, especially bees. Bee is an insect. It has compound eye. Water-vascular system, echinoderms. Canal system, porifera. Don't get confused. Canal system is in sponges, porifera. Water vascular system is in echinoderms. Okay. Nematocyst, it is in coelenterate or cnidarians. That is, they have some stinging bodies which are called as nematocysts. So, or nidoblast also it can be called. So, instead of nematocyst, they can also give the word nidoblast here. Don't get confused. Flame cells, it is an excretory organ which is present in platyhelminths. Visceral hump is present in mollusks, especially if you see the octopus and all that, there you can find it. Nephridia, it is the excretory organ or excretory system in annelids. Parapodia, it is the feet, especially nereis, annelida. It is found in annelida, that is nereis, which is a water organism. There you can find parapodia. So like this also question can be asked, wherein each of it can carry half mark or 1 mark. So like that question can be asked. So this was about the session. Likewise, questions can be asked on the characteristics of aves, mammals, amphibians, reptiles, all that. I have not put everything because I told you from this chapter, all the classes and the phylum are important. Entire chapter is important because one or the other question will appear at one point of the exam. So that is one. So this was about the session. So I hope it was useful for you. So see you in the next session wherein we'll talk about or we'll do the revision of the next chapter. So see you in the next session. Thank you.